Everything you've heard about living on Mars focuses on rockets and habitats. Here's what the colonization pitch always leaves out about what it does to your body and your mind. The brochures show gleaming domes and rust-colored sunsets. They show humanity's next chapter. What they don't show is the day you notice red dust on your boot, brush it off without thinking, and set a quiet clock ticking inside your own body. That's where this story actually starts. Day 1 on Mars. You step through the airlock, seal it behind you, and look at the horizon. Lighter on your feet than you've ever felt in your life. You weigh less than half of what you did on Earth. Not because you lost weight, but because Mars's gravity is only 38% as strong as Earth's. It feels like a gift. It is not a gift. Your body evolved over millions of years under full Earth gravity. The moment you step off that return shuttle, your skeleton started reading the weaker gravity as a signal that says you don't need to maintain this much bone anymore. And your body, being efficient, listens.
Bone loss in low gravity doesn't work like the slow thinning that happens to elderly people on Earth. It's aggressive. It's relentless. Think of it this way. Astronauts on the International Space Station, floating in zero gravity, lose bone density at roughly 10 times the rate of normal aging. Mars gravity is better than zero, but not by enough. Studies of Mars duration missions show that even with rigorous daily exercise, weight-bearing bones like your hips and the top of your thigh bones keep losing density because the planet simply doesn't press on your skeleton hard enough to tell it to stay strong. After 1,000 days, roughly the length of a Mars mission, your thigh bone near the hip joint loses enough mass to put you in the same fracture risk zone as an elderly person who's fallen in a nursing home. That part of the bone is called the femur neck, and it's the part that breaks when old people fall. You arrived young. You're leaving with the skeleton of someone decades older, and you have to survive re-entry in Earth gravity with it. You'd think the answer is simple: exercise more. That's exactly what ISS astronauts do. 2 to 3 hours of resistance training every day. Here's the problem. ISS astronauts exercise, spend 6 months in zero gravity, then come home to full Earth gravity, which loads their bones back up during recovery. The combination works. On Mars, you exercise against 38% gravity, and then you stay there. There's no recovery environment. The loading never gets high enough to compensate. Every solution creates a new problem. High-calorie exercise burns food you can't easily replace on a planet where every gram of food has to be grown, recycled, or shipped from Earth at an enormous cost. Solving bone loss through exercise alone on Mars is like trying to fill a bathtub while the drain is open. You're working hard, but the math doesn't close. Now pause for a second. You've been on Mars for 1 year. Bone scans show you've aged a decade in skeletal health. The contamination from the soil, which we're about to get to, is manageable but never zero. You have 2 years left before the next orbital window opens for a return trip. You cannot leave early. Orbital mechanics don't care about your bones. The next launch window won't come for another 2 years anyway. So, do you stay and finish the mission, or request emergency evacuation knowing the evacuation window doesn't exist? Think about that. The answer is the first thing Mars colonization pitches never say out loud. Once you're there until the orbit allows otherwise. Physics made that decision for you before you left Earth. The soil problem is separate from the gravity problem, and in some ways it's worse because it's invisible. Mars soil contains a chemical called perchlorate, present in concentrations between 0.5% and 1% of the soil by weight. To put that in perspective, imagine a bag of flour where 1 grain in every 200 is a slow poison for your thyroid gland. That's the ratio. Perchlorates disrupt the thyroid, the gland in your neck that controls your metabolism, body temperature, and hormone balance. When your thyroid starts failing, your metabolism slows, your body temperature drops, your energy crashes, and your hormone regulation starts to unravel. You feel cold when the habitat is warm. You gain weight while eating less. You slow down mentally. And it happens gradually, which makes it harder to notice until it's already a problem. The dust is everywhere. Mars has global dust storms that can last 3 months, not a few days of bad weather, but 90+ days of fine particles suspended in the thin atmosphere. Those particles land on your suit, they get into airlocks, they drift in when you seal up.
No matter how careful you are, no matter how strict your clean room protocols, some perchlorate gets in. It's not a catastrophic poisoning, it's a slow drip. A month of trace exposure does a little damage, a year does more. 3 years on a continuous mission, and your thyroid has been absorbing low-level disruption every single day. The fix involves dietary iodine supplementation and filtered air systems, but it's management, not a solution. You're not eliminating the exposure, you're minimizing it and hoping the accumulated dose stays below the threshold where the damage becomes permanent.
There's a part that the colonization pitch absolutely never mentions. The dust storms that contaminate your habitat with perchlorate also block sunlight for 3 months. Your solar panels, your primary power source, drop to near zero output simultaneously. So the same storm that's poisoning your air is also cutting your electricity. Every system on Mars runs on power you generate locally. Life support, water recycling, food growing, heating, because Mars temperatures swing from comfortable at noon to cold enough to freeze gasoline the same night in the same location. When the storm hits, every one of those systems starts running on reserves you were supposed to be building, not spending. Now, a second pause. You're at day 250 of 900. 2 crew members haven't spoken in a week. Mission Control sent a guidance message 40 minutes after you sent your report, which means their advice is based on a situation that changed before their words arrived. Their recommendation doesn't apply to what's in front of you right now. Do you follow Mission Control's instruction to maintain the established protocol, or do you override it based on what you're seeing in real time, knowing if you're wrong, the consequences are yours alone? There's no right answer, but there's a correct framing. On Mars, Mission Control is a consultant, not a commander. The 20-minute one-way communication delay, 40 minutes for any question and answer, means every emergency decision is made by whoever is in the room. You are on your own, and you were always going to be on your own. The pitch decks don't say that.
The psychological research makes it more specific. The Mars 500 study locked 6 people in a habitat for 520 days to simulate a Mars mission. No windows to outside, no ability to leave, no new faces. Around day 200, measurable changes appeared. Withdrawal from group activities, reduced communication with mission authority, signs of depression in multiple crew members. Day 200 out of 520. They weren't even halfway through, and the psychological detachment had already started. 900 days, the length of an actual round-trip Mars mission, is nearly twice as long as that study. Real crews would hit day 200 in the same state, and then have 700 more days to live through it. Which brings us to the last question before the verdict. You're designing the crew selection process. Option 1, choose people who get along naturally, compatible personalities, easy chemistry, no friction. Option 2, deliberately include one person who challenges the group's thinking, creates some tension, prevents the group from becoming too comfortable and insular. On a 900-day mission, which crew survives better psychologically? The research answer is counterintuitive. The too compatible crew is more dangerous. When everyone agrees too easily, the group stops questioning decisions. They lose the friction that forces critical thinking. They develop what researchers call psychological enmeshment, where individual identity starts merging with group identity, which accelerates the detachment and depression, not slows it. Some controlled tension keeps minds sharp. A crew that gets along too well on day 1 may be the crew that makes the fatal group decision on day 600. So here's the actual picture of living on Mars, not the picture they show you. Your bones are deteriorating faster than they would in old age, and exercise helps but doesn't solve it. The soil outside your airlock contains a thyroid disruptor that you will never fully keep out no matter how careful you are. The same dust storms that contaminate your habitat are killing your power supply simultaneously. Every emergency is yours to handle alone because Mission Control's guidance arrives 40 minutes after you asked for it, and the situation will have changed by then. And somewhere around the 7-month mark, the psychological weight of living in a confined space with the same people, with no ability to leave and no new perspective arriving from outside, starts to show up in your behavior whether you notice it or not.
The engineering problems of Mars, pressure, oxygen, water, power, are mostly solvable. Engineers are good at engineering problems. The biology is harder. The psychology is harder still. Both are slower, more personal, and less visible than a failed pressure seal. And both of them are the part the pitch decks always leave for the footnotes, if they mention them at all. People would still go, knowing all of this. That's the part that's actually remarkable. Not that Mars is survivable, it barely is with everything working right, but that humans would accept a decade of bone aging, 3 years of thyroid management, 900 days of isolation, and the permanent knowledge that any emergency is theirs alone to handle, and still say yes. That tells you more about the species than any rocket launch ever did.